Hi, this is Steve Adubato, coming to you remotely. We will be in the NJTV studio soon, I promise. But right now, we are honored to be joined once again by the President of New Jersey State Senate, Steve Sweeney. Mr. President, how are you?
Steve, I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, good. You're coming to us from the State House, and let's talk State House business. We're taping on the 22nd of September. It'll be seen after that. It'll be relevant after that. You talk an awful lot, and you've told me offline as well about the importance of, quote, putting New Jersey's fiscal house in order. What does that mean, and how has it changed given this COVID crisis?
Well, Steve, the COVID crisis has turned everything upside down. There was just recently a Rutgers study out that talked about the world, the country, the state of New Jersey, that we basically gotten half the jobs that we lost during the COVID back. But these other jobs, the other half, is going to be really hard to get. So, financially, we're struggling. We were struggling before the COVID, but it's made it worse. So, for me, passing a budget is going to be critically important. But as soon as we're done that budget, we have to start talking and crafting reforms to start fixing the structural problems that exist here in New Jersey. We just can't borrow our way out of this. We need to start to fix things that are just things that are so damn obvious and have been for years, Steve, but people have been reluctant, whether, because they were concerned.
Name one, Senator.
Well, name one. I could name 100. How about
I know you could. Top of the list.
School consolidations. I got Salem County, which is the smallest county in the state, actually just got a grant to study a countywide school system. It's about time. Give me an example. Salem County has less than 11,000 kids, spends $226 million a year combined. Go to Vineland, they got 11,000 kids, right? Same demographics, pretty much everything's the same. They spend $180 million a year. Steve, it's finding ways to reduce the burden. Yes, it's going to require change. It's going to require us to look at things differently. But you can change, do things smarter, do things better, and we need to do that. My home county is the only county that has countywide ambulance. It works. Better response times, cheaper cost. Again, go back to my home county, Gloucester. They don't have any jails. They got an upgrade in their bond rating because they closed their jails down and exported their prisoners. They saved $21 million a year. So, Steve, it's like we can't expect to break out of things in New Jersey until we as taxpayers, who are very upset about the high cost of living here, understand we can do something about this, but it's going to require us to do it differently. When you put your trash out, it's got to get picked up. When you call 911, the ambulance or the police officers or the fire company need to come. And what I'm saying is you can do all those things, and you can do them more efficiently, you can do them better. And we got to get serious about changing now. We're going to borrow $4.5 billion.
Which we are.
Unless that's what we're looking at right now, unless the feds come in and they get their act together where they recognize they have to help not just New Jersey, but all these states right now. And we expect they will because, the blue-red state crap, the red states are hurting too now. So I would expect that the federal government at some point will come in, and whatever we get from the federal government, we will pay off debt. But it's time to fix what's structurally wrong with New Jersey. We like it. We hate the taxes, but we like what we have. And what I keep telling people is you can have the same level of services without the cost. So it's just a matter of doing things differently than what we did before. We got to look at our pension system. We really have to look at our pension system and how
our public employee pension system.
Yeah, and listen, keep the promises made to everybody. But just like Pennsylvania did not too long ago with the Democrat governor, they came up with a hybrid pension system. And guess what, Steve? The unions supported it in Pennsylvania because they recognized something had to be done. So I don't think anyone here doesn't recognize there's problems. It's actually going through the act of fixing them.
So, Senator, let's do this. Last time we actually spoke again remotely at the beginning of this pandemic on the 20th of March. We're taping at the end of September. There will be a budget struck in the next few weeks in the state of New Jersey. You know, when I talked to you on the 20th, I remember you were pretty adamant about the millionaires tax, hiking taxes on millionaires. The governor had proposed that taxes on millionaires, those earning $1 million to $5 million, go from 8.97% to 10.75. You said, no, we're not going to, it's not the right time. Something has evolved. You've apparently changed your position. Your position has evolved because
the world changed, Steve. Even back then, we were just getting into the pandemic then. You know, leaders have to recognize when things change and they have to change with them. I still don't like the policy. I can tell you that right now. I'm not happy about it, but trying to help the middle class, and that's normally the class that gets the least amount of help when we do government, because there are people that make just enough, Steve, to stay above this program or that program, but they're not wealthy. They're people that work very hard in the middle. You know, they're my iron workers. They're my union iron workers that never see really a benefit. So when the speaker came to me, you know, I was
Speaker Coughlin, the Assembly Speaker Coughlin.
When he came to me and said, listen, how about if we do it to help the middle class? You know, I started looking at it. I didn't say yes in 2 seconds, but I started evaluating. I said, yeah, we have to help them. Listen, I'm not crazy about the policy, but when the speaker came to me with the idea, the Speaker Coughlin came to me with the idea, it was hard to say no.
Well, I'm going to clarify something. When you say there's a rebate program, yes. And help me if I'm wrong on this, Senate President. By the way, Steve Adubato talking to Senate President Steve Sweeney. We're taping late in September. A $500 check goes to families earning $150,000 or less. For a single-parent family, $75,000, they still get the $500 check. Is that, and that's supposed to come in the summer of 2021, correct?
It's going to come every year, Steve. It's not going to be just a one shot.
It's not a one shot.
No, absolutely not. I wouldn't do a million. Then the millionaires tax would have to be a one shot. I wouldn't be willing to do that. You know, Steve, it's up to 500 because you actually have some people that, because of where they are on the income spectrum, don't pay 500 in state income tax. So if I only pay $243 in state income tax, then that's what I would get the credit for what I paid, not for more than. So, like I said, Steve, if this was a one shot, I would move to repeal it. This is going to be an annual program, and I feel strongly that we got to make sure that it stays.
Let me ask you this: we've been doing a series of interviews around an initiative called Reimagine childcare. It was formerly known as Right from the Start NJ, all about quality, accessible, affordable childcare. I've talked to you about this before. In these tight times and with this pandemic, with so many parents trying to figure out how to work with their kids, remote, hybrid, all kinds of things going on, how high a priority is quality childcare?
Oh, it's extremely high. And you know, in recognition of the governor, he put $150 million into a program to help people afford childcare. You know, Steve, we're really in a catch-22. You know, we need our schools. We need our kids to go back to schools. The kids need to be with kids. It's not safe right now, so they're home. People have to go to work. How do you go to work if you got to watch your kids and teach your kids? So having affordable childcare is critically important to get us through this pandemic that we're dealing with. You know, and childcare where it's got value, like, you know, where there's real value, it's not just babysitting, where children are learning is very important, as you know.
Switch gears. I'm curious about this. When it comes to the issue of innovation, offshore wind, we actually had an interview recently talking about offshore wind projects. You have sent a letter with some other colleagues to the Board of Public Utilities saying, hey, wait a minute, we have to make sure that offshore wind initiatives create the number of jobs, the kind of jobs that have been promised. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, absolutely, Steve. I was the author, along with John Bersacelli, of the offshore wind legislation, the ORECs. And we were out before anyone. We were the first ones. All the states followed us. And the reason why we focused on offshore wind is we recognize that there's an industry there. But making sure that industry comes to the shores of the United States is why we sent that letter. We want to see manufacturing in the United States. And since we're first and we've already made investments, we just built a brand new port in Paulsboro for the purpose of offshore wind. The state put a couple $100 million into that thing so that we can so we're ready. All the other states are actually getting ready, but we are ready, Steve. And we're right in the middle of the entire coast of where these windmills are going to go. So we're the most economical. The one thing we don't have is that commitment on manufacturing. Offshore wind's very expensive, and ratepayers are going to pay for this clean energy. But the benefit to New Jersey was jobs, the manufacturing jobs, good paying middle-class manufacturing jobs. And as the author, I didn't send that letter lightly. I didn't just say, I just want, it was to let the people that are in the offshore industry know that we're not going to put up with the BS of that everything's coming from Europe and we're just going to pay the freight.
Got it.
They're going to put jobs in this country. One of the people involved in offshore wind said to me, he said, hey, listen, the ships we lease the ships, they come with crews, they're Europeans. I said, Americans can learn how to work on their ships too. I said, and since we're footing the bill, my friend, we're going to have Americans on their ships. Now, the Americans can come from wherever in the United States, but something, Steve, to accept that kind of attitude, that there's nothing we can do about it, oh yeah, we can do a lot about it. That's why we sent the letter.
Senator, I got about 2 minutes left. Real quick, voting. This will be seen before and after November the 3rd. On the back end of this program, Holly Schapese in the lower house in the Assembly said no reason we should not be able to vote in person. There are some concerns, lots of concerns. The president has expressed them about vote by mail. Your view on vote by mail? Got a minute left. I
agree. We should have had the option of in-person voting like they did in Minnesota. In Minnesota, 75% of the people opted for mail-in ballots, Steve. 25% went to the polls. I think it was a mistake. I think we made a mistake on it, but the point is—
You think the governor saying will be largely mail-in was a mistake?
I think we made a mistake, yes. I'm not criticizing him. He's dealing with the pandemic. He thought he's doing what he thinks is right. I think we should have allowed in-person voting. I was public about that. But at the end of the day, it's too late now. We're in it, and we got to make sure we preserve and protect people's rights to vote. See, their argument, the Republicans' arguments I don't agree with, that it's not reliable. I don't believe in that because I've been voting by mail for the last 10 years, I guess. We have early voting. I go to our county store in the mall, and I would vote before you would apply for the ballots automatically. I go to the county store in the mall and get my ballot and vote at the beginning of October.
Yep.
Always.
You trust the process?
Absolutely. I absolutely trust the process because boards of election have boards that are Republicans and Democrats on those boards.
That's right.
And there's never been any.
I'm sorry. Check out our interview with Chris Durkin, the Essex County clerk, who talked about Democrats and Republicans running the Board of Elections. Senate President Steve Sweeney, I'm sorry for not having more time. I cannot thank you enough for joining us from the State House. We wish you and your family all the best. Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Steve. You too. Be safe.
You got it. We're right back right after this.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Gibbons PC, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, PSE&G, Operating Engineers, Local 825, the New Jersey Education Association, NJM Insurance Group, St. Joseph's Health, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State, and by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by ROINJ and by Insider NJ.
Being a kid is all about playing, laughing, and having fun. Doing what they do best, from rolling in leaves to building a snowman. But when illness or injury slows your little one down, you want the best pediatric care possible. Turn to the experts at the St. Joseph's Children's Hospital to get your superhero feeling super again. St. Joseph's Health, helping kids be kids.